What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your co-host CJ, here with my lovely co-host ZD on this beautiful Wednesday, April 22nd evening.
Yes, sir.
Uh, we're gonna be talking about the games that are going on tonight. We have the Magic versus Pistons, Suns versus Thunder. We're gonna talk about ZD. Your team just played last night as well. We'll recap
Yeah,
Game 2 of the Los Angeles Lakers versus
Rockets
Houston
looking
Rockets.
suspect. They look
Oh,
suspect.
very, very, very. And then we'll talk about the Eastern Conference. We're doing our season outlooks. We wrapped up all the Western Conference and we did a little bit of the contenders for the Eastern Conference. So we're going to do the playoff teams right now for the Eastern Conference season outlooks. And then we're going to talk about some of the storylines of the week. We'll talk about what's going on with the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama going down last night, getting that concussion. Never want to see that from any player. So prayers up for him. Hopefully recovery goes well.
For real.
And then we'll talk about, Shai getting the Clutch Player of the Year award. So to wrap up the show. But how are you doing tonight, ZD? I know we're starting a little late. My apologies, but we're here.
Good.
We're here in the building,
Yeah, live in the flesh, man. I'm feeling good. Lakers got another W. Luke Kennard. I mean, we defeated the Rockets, bro. And we're doing it undermanned. We have no business to be in this series, and we're up 2-0. So I can't complain. Got some good hoops tonight. Thunder versus the Suns and the Magic Pistons, man, which I was going to come on this podcast. I'm saying it for the people. I'm done talking about every team, man. I'm going to just let them hoop. I don't know what's going on. The Blazers got a W. Scoot Henderson looks like a generational talent, let alone, Wemby fell over, but man, you got to give credit where credit is due. I think this playoffs has been, again, I said it before. I don't know what the future holds, but it's going to be one of the best in the last decade. So y'all buckle your bootstraps. But CJ, how you doing, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good, brother. Just a little tired. I talked to you a little about it before we started. Just working this whole week. Gonna be off this weekend for my aunt's aunt's baby shower. Sorry, and just staying up trying to watch these games, man.
That's
I think they need to time it a little bit better. Personally, I think on Monday we ended up staying up till like 12:30, to start off the week. And it was an incredible game. And, anybody that was able to tune in, shout out to y'all. But that was a fantastic game. It's just, man, they're so late. And, we already wake up early in the morning, try to, go to work, do our thing, and then come here and also do our job for the Three Man Weave audience. But besides that, bro, doing good. Thunder play tonight, so I'm ready to watch that with you and see how they're looking. But man, this playoffs has been incredible. Like you said, Trailblazers able to come back with the Wemby-less Spurs. Looked a little choppy, little dicey for them, but they were able to get the dub. And then, like we said, on Monday as well, the Magic being able to take down the Pistons, they're playing their game tonight. So got
even
some
the
good
Sixers,
games.
right? DJ
Sixers.
Edgecombe, my goodness.
Yeah, you remember we just talked about that, yeah. Because we
I
were
was like, I'm
in the
done
last
talking about
pod.
it.
Because we were
Yeah,
like, man, you
bro.
think they could get one? I was like, yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But
Right.
they were able to take care of business yesterday in TD
Yeah.
Garden. So yeah,
That's a
like you
big
said,
deal.
playoffs have been incredible start.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to see
Yeah,
what it
bro.
ends up looking like, man, further along in the month.
Heck yeah. Let's get right into the pod, man. I'll start it off. The Lakers took a 2-0 lead against the Rockets. We defeated the Rockets, CJ, 101-94 in a closely contested game, too. I know you weren't able to watch quarter 4, but luckily we got the recap. Marcus Smart had 25 in this one, bro. 5 threes, 7 assists for the Lakers. He was balling out. Who have twice overcame the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. And that's a big caveat for this one, man, because I didn't even expect it. I've been a Lakers fan my entire life, bro. I didn't even expect us to be in a 2-0 situation against the Houston Rockets, who are healthy now. Kevin Durant did play in this game. So that is a big caveat for us to be up 2-0. Marcus Smart had 25 in this one, those 5 3-pointers. LeBron James, man, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists in this matchup in quarter 1 after a 12-foot pull-up from KD. The Lakers went on were down 24-21, but then Luke Kennard hit 2 threes. Kennard also finished with 23 points on 8 of 13 shooting. We've been live on Threads. A guy said it today. I said Luke Kennard, and he typed in a little asterisk. He said Luka Kennard. I love that. He's been acting like Luka.
That's what you were saying too.
Right? I mean, I was like, man, he might as well be Luka Doncic, going 8 of 13 from the floor. But after back-to-back threes from Luke, put us up 26-27. Then LA went on a 6-point run, fueled by LeBron, Smart, and Jackson Hayes. To finish the quarter 33-26 in that first. LA held Houston in the second quarter to just 17 points, man. And overall, Houston shot 7 of 29 from downtown, which is 24%. Quarters 2 and 3 were a little bit tighter. KD started to get comfortable in that second quarter. You probably saw it. He closed out the half with 19 points. He went on, I think he scored 11 points in the second quarter, man. He finished out the quarter pretty strongly. I want to say he scored 6 or 7 points straight. So Durant was cooking going into the half. But in the third quarter, it was a defensive battle, CJ. We held the Rockets to 17 points. They also held us to 21 points. It was just a back and forth third quarter, very, very slow pace, not a lot of great shooting. But the Lakers were up 68-75 going into the fourth, and they sealed this win by going on a 12-6 run, capped by a LeBron dunk. And he pulled out his old man tricks on this. I don't know if you saw my repost, but he was like, oh, stop. The Tari Eason, Marcus Smart got on a little backdoor, and then he did the little tomahawk, classic LeBron jam, and then Luke Kennard sealed it with some free throws. We now lead the playoff series 2-0, and Ime Udoka and the Rockets, you guys should be hitting the panic button. In my opinion, Alperen Şengün has been outplayed by Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton, kind of combined. Jackson Hayes played a great game last night. He played 23 minutes. He also had 6 points. We couldn't play Ayton in game 2. He was just giving up too many offensive rebounds. JJ punished him by playing Jackson Hayes, but Jackson Hayes ended up making a defensive impact as well. Had 2 or 3 blocks in this one. Alperen Şengün can't be outplayed by those centers. Kevin Durant is forced to be the initiator, which we saw this in the regular season, but we double. We're doubling as soon as he crosses half court. It kind of forces KD to be a passer, which I would say he's comfortable. He's gotten better at doing that. As you know, having Kevin Durant on the Thunder, back then he was a score-first forward. Now he has the capability to get 6 or 7 assists depending on the game flow, but it still looks like their offense is stuck in mud, man, and holding them to 94 points. We talked about it during the regular season. If the Lakers can hold teams under 110, 108, that's the sweet spot for us because our offense does show up. And I want to give props to Luke Kennard. I know we've spoken about him a lot, but clearly this is not a coincidence. I'd argue he's always been capable of doing this, and on the Clippers, on the Hawks, he hasn't gotten the chance because of the caliber of players around him, the superstar players that were around him. He never was able to showcase this skill and this talent. And now teams are going to shift their defense. The Rockets shifted their defense in game 2, and he still hunted his shot and was aggressive. And LeBron James, man, 28 points, 8 boards. He is beating father time. He looks great. The healthiest he's looked all year. The Lakers are just in a great spot. I would argue we're in one of the best spots in the entire playoffs, just given the fact that our roster was not supposed to be up 2-0 against Houston. We'll see whenever we go on the road. Game 3, it's going to be interesting. I know Ime is going to make some adjustments, but JJ Redick said after the game that we are attacking the game plan exactly the way he thought we would, which showcases we have more depth than originally planned. Rui Hachimura had another great game. He's had a great series. Everybody's had a great series. There really hasn't been anybody who's struggled, which we might be getting hot at the right time. But CJ, it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful basketball. We are playing some of the best basketball we've played all year, even without Luka or AR in the lineup. So shout out to LA, man. I see y'all and I appreciate y'all for making me eat my words. That's why I said I'm going to shut up and just watch the playoffs. We saw VJ go for 30 and 10. Hasn't happened since Magic Johnson. We're seeing Paolo go crazy. We're seeing teams compete, which is what matters. The Rockets, it's more about them than it is about LA. I don't want to talk you guys' ear off, but we're doing well. We're sitting pretty.
Yeah, no, I was able to watch like the first half, like I told you before we started recording, and what Marcus Smart was able to do defending KD. I saw that steal that he was able to get on him,
Yeah.
being a
Being a
pest on
pest.
just being
Exactly.
pest, being aggressive, and also what he was able to provide for y'all offensively too. He was knocking down his threes. I think he had 13 points something in the first half, something like
Yeah.
that. And when you're able to get that type of production from a player like Marcus Smart, it just goes to show the type of basketball y'all been playing. Like you said, probably the hottest y'all have been. And then Luke Kennard, bro, what he's been able to do, the three that sticks out vividly is he's coming off the screen, they're kind of trailing behind them, and
Trailing him, and he like
just
steps it back.
steps back and just knocks it down, like no hesitation.
Confidence.
So
Yeah.
seeing that type of play from him, and it goes to show, just obviously we've been watching you've been watching them all year. You've been analyzing them, seeing how they are. You said it, bro. Like, and I'm gonna give props to you where it's due. If for y'all to win, to push this to 6-7 game series, you're gonna need LeBron to have a game, which he's been doing. LeBron's been putting up fantastic numbers, but you're gonna need Luke Kennard to, like I said last pod, drop 30.
20. Yeah,
and
20 to 30 points.
20 to 30 points, and the last two games he got 27, and then he got 23 last night. So shout out to the Lakers, bro, playing really good defense. And like you said, I think it just kind of it's more telling on the Rockets side, just because of the expectations heading into the series. Y'all are healthy. Besides KD being out game one, y'all still should have won that game per se, but the Lakers are just playing incredible ball, so you can't knock that.
Yeah.
But more questions arise for the Rockets, for sure.
They're killing us on the glass too, bro. Like, if you look at the box score, they hit more threes than us in game one. We hit 10 threes, they hit 11. They out-rebounded us. So if you're a box score warrior, you're like, the math isn't math. But if you watch the game, you'll see that the Rockets aren't very good.
Yeah.
It's clear that it's more than the math not going their way. It's genuinely their offense looks poor. Sometimes on defense, they have defensive breakdowns, especially on shooters. And the Lakers have, I think, 2 of the top 10 three-point percentage players in the league, and Luke Kennard and Rui Hachimura. There's no reason those guys should be open. Even if they shoot low volume, they're going to hit 1 out of every 2-3 they take. So the Rockets, Reed Shepherd, I don't know where you're at, man. They need you. We'll see in Houston, though. Hey, full disclaimer, trying to figure out a way to get to one of these games, man. In Houston, I talked to my girl about it. I know if the Mavericks or if the Thunder play a Texas team, you might be trying to as well. But full disclaimer on that, now that we're up 2-0, I'm like excited. I want to go. So.
Zach was like, if the Rockets end up winning the series, he's like, would you be down to go to a Rockets Thunder game? And I'm like, yeah, if they do, but obviously this was prior to game one. This was talking about it before the series was even finished, just kind of talking about, potential, like if that happens, like, would you be down? And I'm like, yeah, bro, we definitely can. But, that being said, y'all are up 2-0. Rockets are going to be home these next 2 games. We'll see, and we say it too. It's not a true playoff series until a road team ends up winning. So we'll see, man. Excited to see game 3. And, talking about the Thunder, man, we're up 1-0 on the Suns, and the Thunder absolutely dismantled the Suns in a 119-84 victory in game 1. We scored 34 points off of 19 turnovers from the Suns, the most in the play-by-play era. ESPN tracking data that goes back to 1998. SGA finished with 25 points, but the refining league MVP made just 5 of 18 field goals. Raining, yeah. Luckily, SGA went 15 of 17 at the free throw line before sitting out the entire fourth. And we talked about that. That gets overlooked. That was getting overlooked a lot in the regular season specifically. But if we're able to do that in the playoffs and get the much needed rest and not having to have like how Ant had to play 40 minutes in Ball Arena with the high altitude, they're gassed. So luckily, for this game, we didn't have to run into that problem of playing 40 minutes. But Jalen Williams, man, scored 22 points, and Chet Holmgren added 16 for the top-seeded Thunder, who will host Game 2 tonight, and we will be live. So if y'all want to catch the stream, come right in and chop it up with the boys. But the Thunder heated up quickly in the game, and Dylan Brooks was called for a flagrant 1 foul in the first quarter for hitting Holmgren in the face. The Thunder went on a 12-2 surge after that to take a 24-14 lead. OKC extended the advantage to 65-44 at halftime, and Holmgren had 16 points, and SGA had 15 at the break. In the third, SGA converted a 3-point play to push OKC's lead to 90-63 late in the third, and the Thunder took a 97-66 edge into the fourth. And right now, like I just mentioned, we hold a playoff series 1-0 lead, and the game is tonight. I think it's going to score score wise, I don't believe it's going to be as big of a blowout. I respect the Suns. I expect them to come with their A game, especially after a loss like that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get this dub. I personally don't believe so, but not saying that they're not going to go out and ball, but based off of what I saw from the first game and what I've seen leading up to this point, for them to even get to this eight seed position, Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, they're going to have to do what they've been doing this whole season, but really, stop fouling. I think we talked about that as well. Getting Shai to, the free throw line, obviously that's a whole conversation that we could have, but it's to be expected at this point, so that's kind of a effort thing, knowing who you're guarding against and knowing what he's trying to end up having you jump up in the air, or even the foul calls, just putting your hands up like Dylan Brooks said. But they're gonna need someone on their bench to do something, man. Game one, nobody was able to provide any juice for them off of the bench, so Colin Gillespie, Oso Gigodoros, like those type of guys, Royce O'Neal, like they're gonna have to knock down their shots. Jordan Goodwin, do what got them to this point. What will we able to see them do in the play? And obviously Jalen Green had remarkable playing games, so it looks like they're gonna need some type of improvement from the field for him. It's just when you're going against the best defense in the league and arguably, of this decade, it's hard to really get your shot. You're not going to be able to get open shots like you were in the playing games and, in the previous matchup. So it's going to be interesting. I'm expecting a dub, but being said, it's one of those where, like you were saying for your Lakers, bro, if they just play good brand of basketball, stay connected on the defensive side, and even if your shots aren't knocking down, I think it's a great example of a lot of these series. As long as you're within striking distance, you still have a shooter's chance. But with the suffocating defense that the Thunder have, it's really hard for me to say that the Suns are going to win. But especially in Paycom Center, we were talking about that as well. We're on live. Thunder, Celtics, and I think you even brought up the Lakers as well. We're all good. Nuggets, that's who we're watching. That's why you brought it up too. These teams, it's so hard to win there. So if you do, it'll make it an interesting, conversation to be
I'll
had.
say this,
I just
CJ,
don't think it's gonna happen.
They need to win tonight, or this series is cooked. Out of all the series in the playoffs, this one to me has the most risk of being a sweep if the Suns can't find something on offense. And you brought it up, the fouling. Because Shai shot like 16 attempts from the line. He's most likely going to have 30 free throws by the end of 2 games. They're living in the bonus. That's not good for them either. And then the turnovers, bro. The turnovers. That's always been something. That's the theme of the Thunder, that they're going to create turnovers. The Suns just have to do a better job of getting back and stopping them from scoring off those turnovers. In my opinion, dead ball turnovers, which are the turnovers, you dribble it off your knee and it goes out of bounds. That's a dead ball. Live ball, they had a ton of live ball turnovers, which are where the ball's still in play. The Thunder can get a fast break. Jalen Williams looks like himself, which just means it's dangerous for the NBA moving forward. But yeah, this playoff series specifically just looks like it's at risk of being a sweep. So we will see. Suns fans, you got an opportunity to see what your team is made of tonight. If you can get a win in Paycom Center, just one, that's a testament to where you guys are at. especially Jalen Green and Devin Booker, like you brought up 5 minutes ago, if they can score 30 each, 60 points right there, everybody else can fill in, get 10, 8. It could be a game. So we'll see. But we got a season outlook, CJ. We're going to be doing the rest of the Eastern Conference. These are the middle of the pack teams, we'll say, the teams that were either in the play-in or the playoffs. So we got the Toronto Raptors, man. The Raptors season was defined by a tough defense. Their scrappiness on D gave Toronto a 46-36 record in the East, 5th seed, despite having the 15th break offense. It's just something they struggle with all year outside of their core 4 players, which we'll get into in a second. The Raptors averaged around 115 points per game with solid shooting and ranked among the league leaders in steals and blocks with 8.8 steals, CJ, 4.8 blocks per night, finishing with a plus 2.9 net rating. The Raptors' big four did a lot this year, too. RJ Barrett led the attack with just under 20 points per night, while also chipping in 5.3 rebounds and 3.3 assists on 49% shooting in 57 games. Scotty Barnes continued his ascent, grabbing another all-star appearance and providing efficient scoring, averaging 18 points per game and hitting 50% of his shots. Barnes also averaged 7.5 rebounds and 6 assists a game while playing high-energy defense in 80 games this season, which is a big number. He was available all year, all-star appearance. In my opinion, Scotty Barnes is underrated still, though. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of love just because of, what his
the
offense
way he gets his bucket.
Yeah, but defensively, one of the best defenders, and he's been like a Swiss Army knife for them. So yeah,
he needs that shot. He needs that shot as well. If he can get a 3-pointer similar to Amen Thompson, it would be oh man, watch out. Brandon Ingram also had a renaissance type of year in terms of health and scoring, CJ, and also made the All-Star team. Ingram averaged 21.5 points and played in 77 games, which is most since his rookie year in 2016-2017 since he played on the Lakers. Emmanuel quickly supplied secondary playmaking in a scoring punch, averaging 16.4 points and 5.9 assists per game, while shooting 44% from the field. Even with Barrett missing some time, the Raptors' depth and defense kept them competitive. And to climb higher next year, they need to be more consistent in their outside shooting. They ranked 21st in three-point percentage, and they need to have a better balanced roster. We've talked about this. This will be my talking point. They just don't have a front court. Podol was ghost all year. Grady Dick did not have the best year either. There seems to be an issue in the front court outside of their forwards, right? Their power forwards, small forwards, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes. They need to acquire more depth. I love me some Precious Achiuwa when he was on the Raptors. I love me some Jakob Podol. But those guys can't get it done in the center landscape in today's NBA, playing against a Wembanyama, Donovan Clay, Nikola Jokic, Embiid, players like that. You need your front court to support your back court, which, again, they played extremely well on offense. So that entire core four right there, we talked about in the offseason files, but they were most likely going to average 55 to 60 points a game. And that's why it's important to see a Colin Murray-Boyles, to see a Grady Dick, to see other players around the core four of BI, RJ, IQ, and Scotty Barnes really step up and score more. In my opinion, the Raptors are also at risk of getting swept, which I hate to say, but the way that they look against the Cavs, we just got done with their outlook, but they're not able to score. And right now they're not guarding. And that is not a recipe for success. In my opinion, they need to lean on their offensive creation. They need to find a way to keep up pace with the Cavs. They've also played really, really slow, and they don't shoot very well. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. When we do get into their offseason files, I believe the Raptors front office is going to make some changes to their balance sheet, allowing their team to be able to sign more players. Right now, they're second apron team. They're forced to be making championship runs. If you're a Toronto fan, you are excited to be in the playoffs, but after going down 0-2 to the Cavs, you see the holes and the cracks within your team this season. When I watched Toronto, they had spurts where they looked great. They looked like a playoff caliber team, and then they had spurts where they didn't look so good. They looked like a bottom third NBA team, which every team goes through their ups and downs, but specifically Toronto, they're in an interesting spot in terms of where their franchise is. Having the East 5th seed is a success. We always give a rating on this show. If I had to rank it, 15th best ranked offense in the league, I'd say it's a 6 out of 10, just given their balance sheet. And realistically, if they don't win the championship, their balance sheet it's such a problem that it doesn't make sense to be paying that big of a check for the team that's getting bounced in the first round. So I would have to give it a 6, maybe 6.5. And Toronto's future does look bright. They have a young core. Like I said earlier, their front office is going to make some changes to get them out of the second apron. And they had a good season, finishing 5th in the East. I don't want to take anything away from them. That's still a successful year. They played great defense, which is something they've been doing. But yeah, shout out Toronto, man.
Yeah, I'll give it like a 6.5 as well. I feel like their season was a great season, being able to be a solidified playoff team with the 5th seed, and now you're going against the Cavs, who we've seen what they've been able to do to them, but defensively is where they excelled at, and as of right now, it's not looking the greatest, but it got to this point. It's a great building block. We've seen teams that have it or don't really have an identity, and they're trying to figure out what their like timeline for their team is and what can we build off of. I feel like this is something that they can build off of offensively. Like you said, a lot to be desired, especially from 3. I know IQ's been out, so that's a huge hole for them offensive creation wise, but just everything else on the roster, it's like you said, a youthful team, a young team that can improve, and I think this will be a good experience for them. But as of right now, being down 0-2, not looking the greatest, like you said, can potentially be a sweep, especially if the Cavs, are able to steal this 3rd game at home. They might end up getting one more, but it's looking like gentleman sweep to potential sweep for the Raptors. But other than that, I'll give them a 6.5 as well. I think they overseeded a lot of people's expectations. Probably didn't expect them to be a solidified playoff team. So shout out to the Raptors. Shout out to Scotty and Bi being both all-stars this season and taking care of business, but offensively have a lot to be desired. So wanting to see a lot of improvement for y'all this upcoming season.
Exactly. That's a good take. Just a lot to be desired, in my opinion. They have a next level they can get to. I think the Raptors fans know that, and we'll see what their front office can cook up during the offseason and make some changes.
Yes, sir. Going on to our next team that we're going to do a season outlook for, it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks, man. Atlanta put together a strong regular season, even after trading Trae Young, as they finished 46-36, winning the Southeast Division and landing 6th in the East behind one of the league's deeper rotations. The Hawks averaged 118.5 points per game, led the NBA in assists at 30.1 per night, shot 37% from 3, which ranked 5th in the league, and paired that with 9.4 steals per game and a 113.7 defensive rating that ranked 9th. Jalen Johnson was the clear engine of the team, breaking out with 22.5 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 7.9 assists in 72 games, while doing a little bit of everything offensively. That was our huge talking point for them. We didn't expect Trae Young to get traded this season, but the fact that they did showed us where they were leaning toward this roster and the future of the team. And, they bought in on Jalen Johnson, and that's looking like, a perfect, perfect situation that they put themselves in, just because of what he was been able to provide, Nickeil Alexander Walker as well, that I'll talk about in a little bit. Just the whole team, just, it sucks to say it, but it looks like they got better without Trae Young. So, I didn't expect that to happen.
Props to Atlanta for sure. Facts. Y'all had an amazing second half of the year. I think top 4 win-loss record second half post All-Star break. Along with the Hornets, Thunder, and Spurs. Those are the 4.
Looking incredible, man. But on the defense side of the ball, then I got the Great Bear Thief, Dyson Daniels, gave them one of the most unique all-around backcourt seasons in the league, hitting especially no threes, but averaging 11.9 points, 6.8 rebounds, 5.9 assists, and 2 steals across 76 games. No threes at all, man. But it's crazy how there's players out there that are obviously 3-point ball is what you need to be an elite player in this league. But Dyson Daniels was able to, not be able to shoot threes, but still contribute on the defensive side. And then even, his playmaking,
a little bit on the offensive.
That was something that, we talked about in our offseason files with him. If he can be a better playmaker, improve on his scoring, whatever that may look like for him, you'll get the season that he had this year, and obviously the steals, right? That's something that we have been accustomed to. The type of player that he is. But going into the next player, man, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He added major scoring punch on the perimeter with a career high 20.8 points per game and 39.9 shooting from three in 78 games, while Nneka Okongwu brought front court stability with 15.2 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. Even though their offensive rating finished only 14th, the Hawks still ended the year with a plus 2.4 net rating because their ball movement, shooting, and disruptive defense kept them competitive most nights. The outlook for next season is pretty clear. If Atlanta can keep this core together and raise its half-court efficiency without losing its defensive edge, this looks like a team that can move from solid playoff group to a real top four threat in the East.
Wow,
man! I said, or we just mentioned it earlier. The ball movement, the defensive disruptiveness on that side of the end of the ball. That is what has made them successful. Playing with pace, running with these teams. They have CJ McCollum, who's been balling out, against the Knicks, and was able to steal game two. Kuminga as well, that we didn't bring up.
One, he had an one in the Garden that you saw it probably, but that was massive. Yeah, I'm like, Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah, the Hawks are CJ. I hate to take your point away, but they're awesome. Yeah. They traded Trae Young. I didn't see a lot of hope for them, and you did a good job of explaining. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, you've brought him up. You said it on stream. You didn't see this. But now that we know he's this cool, he's their all-star. We know he's their guy. That's great. But it's been about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Okongwu, Corey Kispert, CJ McCollum, Jonathan Kuminga. The Hawks have a roster that fills out nicely, especially in the Eastern Conference. We just got done talking about Toronto. Dare I say this? Atlanta is better than Toronto right now, even though their record didn't necessarily show it, in my opinion, and what we've seen just being analysts of the game. CJ, I know you'd have to agree. Younger, more spry. They have better depth on their bench, and they just look like a team that is ready to take that next step. It's interesting with that trade, getting rid of Trae Young. I didn't foresee them being this good. And like you said at the end, they could be a potential threat in the East now. I mean, the Knicks do not want to play the Hawks. I'll say that. Yeah. They could potentially lose to the Hawks in round one. And the Knicks are now on the hot seat. We just got done talking to them about them and being a contender. Well, Atlanta is the perfect kryptonite for them. They play fast. They hit their threes. They guard. At times, their offense is inconsistent, which is why they finished with the 14th best offense in the NBA. But Atlanta's dangerous, and we need to start respecting them as a team. Like I said, top 4 team post All-Star break, alongside the Hornets, Spurs, and of course the Thunder. But got to give credit where credit is due. We talk about. I want to give a rating. I'd say 8.5 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I did not expect this from them. Now, obviously, moving off of Trae Young, we had him in our offseason file as a player that they're building around. They're clearly not doing that anymore. But watching them over the last month and a half, it's clear to me that they're a team that should not be messed with. They're not a team that you want to play in the playoffs, like you said, CJ, due to their pace, their three-point shooting. And that variance is so dangerous, right? That's what makes the Magic so dangerous against the Pistons, is that three-point shooting variance in the defense. It's kind of any game is a toss-up. So with Atlanta, I believe that their outlook does look a lot brighter. And next season, I'm excited. I'm even more excited to see what they do next year. And that was one of your teams that you said you were watching this season. Started off with Kristaps Porzingis and Trae Young, and a completely different roster to starting on today, and they look much better, like you said.
Yeah. No, yeah, like you said, bro, probably I would give it a 9 as well, especially
Yeah.
after the Trae Young trade and what Jalen Johnson turned into, the pickup of CJ McCollum, Jalen Johnson, these players that, CJ McCollum was essentially a salary dump that they were able to get. And now he's providing a spark
30.
for them to get, a series or a game in the playoffs now. So incredible season for the Hawks. Can't talk about them enough. And, shout out to Atlanta, man. Like we said, Trae Young was, their light at the end of the tunnel for the longest, and now you were able to get rid of him, and you're competing right now. Y'all were a play-in team for the last couple seasons, and now you solidified your spot with this sixth spot in the Eastern Conference. So shout out to y'all. Y'all got younger. Y'all are shooting a lot better from the 3-point line, and if you getting better on the defense as well in the absence of Trae Young. So can't speak enough of the Atlanta Hawks. So shout out to ATL, man.
Yeah, shout out ATL, man. Just like CJ said, getting it done on both sides of the ball. But moving on, man, we got the 76ers outlook for the season. Philadelphia's season was shaped by star-level shot creation, but uneven team play as the 76ers finished 45-37, good for 7th in the East, despite ranking just 17th in scoring, which is odd, and posting a minus 0.2 net rating on the year. The Sixers averaged 115.9 points per game, and they were strong at forcing turnovers with 9.1 steals per night. At times, their ball movement lagged badly, ranking 29th in assists, and their 34.9% three-point shooting ranked only 23rd in the league. Tyrese Maxey carried the offense for long stretches, averaging 28.3 points, 6.6 assists, and 4.1 rebounds in 70 games, while emerging as the clear engine of the team. We've spoken about Tyrese Maxey a lot. The injury impacted him a little bit at the end of the season, but he was able to come back and finish strong. He has been one of the most interesting players watching his development over the last 3 to 5 years. Now that Joel Embiid is a big question mark, essentially every game, it's been his team to take over, and he's done that at a very good clip. He looks great on the court whenever he's playing fat. He's probably the most agile player in the NBA. Just his speed on the court is just amazing to watch. So shout out to him, man. Another all-star performance from Tyrese Maxey this year. VJ Edgecombe looked like the Rookie of the Year candidate, a potential one, averaging 16 points per game and 5 rebounds per game, and also 1.5 steals a night. Him and Tyrese Maxey are dangerous. VJ also deserves a lot of credit. In any other season outside of the outlier one that we had with Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg, VJ Edgecombe is your Rookie of the Year. I mean, we saw what he did at the first game in TD Garden. We saw what he did last night in TD Garden, more importantly in a playoff scenario, getting 30 points and 10 boards. He has been a consistent heartbeat for them as well. And I honestly don't think the Sixers were even expecting him to go now. But the way that he played, it got Jared McCain traded, which, again, I'm sure you're happy about. I don't agree with it, but that's the decision that they made. So shout out to VJ as well. Joel Embiid was still dominant even when available, putting up 26.9 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, but only played 38 games, which made it difficult for Philly to ever settle into a real rhythm. We spoke about Embiid too in the summer of Joel Embiid. What was his season going to look like? It was up and down this year, but when he did play, he looked great. And I've spoken to you about that. Anytime he went out on the court, I saw the memory that I have is the game against the Spurs where he hit that step back on Wemby just for fun. But he does things that are very special whenever he gets out on the court. And unfortunately, he has the appendicitis injury right now, so we won't see him in the playoffs for a couple of weeks if Philly can't move on. And Paul George, man, also added another capable scorer and playmaking wing presence, averaging 17.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. Though he also appeared in just 37 games due to that suspension, the 25-game PED suspension, which, if you heard him speak about it, he said he was in a dark place. He felt like he wasn't performing, and he felt like he needed something to improve his performance, which we all do, but that doesn't excuse the absence. So in my opinion, that is a wasted season from Paul George, if we're being honest. He could have been healthy. He was healthy, but decided to get suspended for 25 games. The combination of top-end talent and inconsistent availability really defined the season because the Sixers had enough individual firepower to beat quality teams, but not enough continuity to separate themselves from the middle of the pack, CJ. To take a real step next season, the Sixers need better health from its stars, obviously, more reliable three-point shooting, and to lean into a Tyrese Maxey-led offensive structure that creates easier looks around Edgecombe, George, and Embiid. And in my opinion, that's the pecking order. Edgecombe is now second. He's a young guard. Clearly, he's showing he can perform in big moments. There's really no reason Paul George and Embiid should dominate the shot chart more than Edgecombe and Maxey. And if I had to be a betting man, Daryl Morey is looking to win a championship within the next 2 to 3 years. Whatever that means for the balance sheet is yet to be foreseen, but we know Tyrese Maxey is going to be the lead engine of the offense. He's most likely going to average above 27 points for the next 6-7 years. I wouldn't be shocked, alongside VJ's performance this season. But I also want to give credit to Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre. Those two dudes had a great year. Both of them are in a contract year, and they were asked to play a different role, and they've stepped up and played huge. Even in playoff moments, we're going to see Quentin Grimes and Oubre hit timely threes. So I want to give credit to some of the 76ers supporting cast. This season was tumultuous, and the rating is going to speak as such. They get a 6 of 10 from me. Their stars were not healthy. They left Tyrese Maxey out on an island a lot of nights. Maxey also led the league in minutes played, which Nick Nurse is somebody who always plays guys in high minutes load. Tom Thibodeau is a similar style coach, but Tyrese Maxey playing that many minutes is not very sustainable for his health and his career. Given the landscape and where the NBA is at, the Sixers are in a bit of a sticky situation. And given Embiid's and Paul George's absences throughout the last couple seasons, I don't want to say that's going to be the case next year, but given the landscape, it probably will be. What does that mean for the Sixers? Who knows? But they got to win in TD Garden last night, so.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you said it perfectly, bro. I'd probably give them a 6 out of 10 as well. All the circumstances with the missed games from Embiid and Paul George, they were still able to get a playoff, or they were in the play-in and able to get that 7th seed, beating the Magic that we're going to talk about next. But it was not the greatest season, but we talked about it as well. We saw that Tyrese Maxey is the engine of the offense, engine of this team. When he was on the court, he had them in close game pretty much all the time. And that's, obviously without your other guys that are in the pecking order, that's the type of, situation they got put in. But even with the guys coming off the bench, the Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, like you said, Andre Drummond, even now hitting threes in the playoffs, they have a good enough roster, but it relied so heavily on Tyrese Maxey. Like you just mentioned earlier, it was hard for them to really win, 50, 55 games, so that's where they are now. But, obviously still a competitive team in the NBA, still gave the Celtics a run for their money last night. And, I think it's a great sign for them, I guess, obviously.
They always play the Celtics well.
Always, yeah. I mean, like you said, with the VJ's first game of the season, what he was able to do. So, obviously, have a lot that they could work on. Stars need to get healthier, but they also need to, be able to add a little more guys that can contribute to them winning basketball games. But going into our next team, man, we have my darling in the Eastern Conference, Orlando Magic, man. Orlando's season was defined by defense, poor shooting, and just enough star power to get them back into the playoff field, finishing 45-37, 8th in the East with a slim positive net rating of plus 0.6. The Magic were much better defensively than offensively, posting a 113.6 defense rating that ranked 13th in the league, while their 114.9 offense rating ranked 18th, and their 34% three-point shooting ranked 27th, which made scoring spurts hard to sustain. And that's something that, we've been talking about all year, even with the addition of Desmond Bane, they still weren't able to shoot that well as a roster from 3-point. And that is, what we've been saying about Orlando Magic for the last 3-4 years. It's something where their defense has always been either middle of the pack or, top 10, whatever it is.
10,
but
exactly.
Their offense has always been the theme that they struggled with, and the consistency from, all their stars. That's been the story of their season. So, wanted to bring that up. But Paolo Banchero led the way with 22.2 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game, continuing to look like the franchise centerpiece, even as Orlando's spacing around him remained inconsistent. Franz Wagner gave them a strong second scorer, even though he missed 48 games. Wagner averaged 20.6 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game, which kept the offense afloat on nights when Banchero did not have it rolling. The Magic also added Desmond Bane to the fold, as Bane played all 82 games and averaged 20 points per game on near 50-40-90 splits. To take a real step next season, Orlando needs more reliable shooting and half-court creation around Banchero and Wagner so its offense can finally catch up to its defensive identity. They had season emergence from Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, the Jalen Suggs of the world. He's another player that's kind of in and out the lineup, throughout the season.
Time and time again,
man. It sucks because when he is on the court, we saw it.
He looks awesome.
Last game, when the game won against the Pistons, he has moments where he can really shift a game in Orlando's favor. So, the health of the roster, the offensive consistency, your defense is, top half of the league. That's something they always hang their hat high on. But, if you can't get effective, efficient, offense, it's hard to win games in this NBA. And that's something I've been talking about for the Magic all year. And that's what I thought Desmond Bane was going to be, a relief for them in a sense. And he has, but they just need their other guys to be able to shoot better from three and just, another reliable scorer coming off the bench for them. So that being said, as a whole, out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 6. Wasn't the greatest, wasn't the best. They starting to figure it out now, which is the right time. But as their whole, regular season outlook just was super, super rocky. Can't really give them anything higher. I mean, potentially even like a 5.5.
I was going to say 5 out of 10. That's what I was leaning. 5 out of 10, even lower. And bro, so Basketball University, top 15 lineups in the NBA. Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs is a top 15 lineup. They played less than 20 games. Like you're saying, they barely played.
Yeah.
So you can't even see that net rating. I think with Jalen Suggs on the court, they're +2.5, +3, but that's still positive. And you see that now against the Pistons. You see that whenever they're healthy, they have that lineup. Wendell Carter Jr., I know you didn't bring him up, but he's been balling out recently. But he had an up and down season, right? To CJ's point, I got to give them a 5 out of 10 just based off of their balance sheet too. My goodness, owning 4 first-round picks. There's really no room to not be a championship team, and they're just not that yet. But they're turning a corner. As we've seen in the playoffs, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner is starting to look more springy throughout the season. You brought it up. The Anthony Black ascension has been something that I wasn't expecting, but the Magic are excited. They got God on their player development. They've been teaching their guys how to handle the rock and be special in that way. And we've seen Anthony Black really take a leap, averaging 12, 13 points this season. So that was good from him. But outside of that, there wasn't a ton of positive. I heard also, this is the first team that really had a lot of locker room turmoil. I should say them and Houston. But Jamal Mosley, we've seen a lot of reports coming out of that locker room, oddly, which I think is odd because where there's smoke, there's fire. Like your mama tells you, if there's continuous reports that are coming out, it's probably true. 1 or 2, we'll put it to the side. But if it's often, Shams obviously reported on it too. He said there was a blow up in the locker room with Mosley. I've seen the Orlando beat writers talk about it and Jamal Collier on ESPN. This is what you get. In the Eastern Conference, it's a battle. The Magic are in a certain situation where they're forced to be a championship team, and averaging, they're middle of the pack. Like you said, they had a 114.9 offensive rating, ranked 18th. They need to improve their 3-point shooting to have a chance in today's NBA landscape, man. But I'd have to give it a 5 out of 10 as well. So, yeah, shout out the Magic, shout out Orlando. Like I said, my mouth is shut on the playoff scenarios right now. I think you guys could win 2-3 games. My goodness, push the Pistons to 7. But moving on to Charlotte, man, the Charlotte Hornets, I'm excited for this one. The Charlotte Hornets season was one of the biggest turnarounds, jumping from 19-63 last year to 44-38 this season, and finishing ninth in the East despite getting blown out by Orlando in the play-in. The Hornets averaged 116 points per game, shot 37.8% from three, and posted a 118.4 offensive rating, and finished with a strong +5 net rating. Even if their 113.5 defensive rating showed there was still room to grow on that end, the Hornets put together one of the best offensive seasons of their franchise. LaMelo Ball gave them the offensive creation that they needed, averaging 20 points, 7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds in 72 games, while hitting 267 threes. CJ, LaMelo Ball, he's proven the haters wrong, man. Yep. I know it wasn't the most efficient. We know he's not the most efficient player, but to go out, play this many games, he hasn't been this healthy in a long time, which for me was the biggest thing. But seeing him healthy, hitting the second most threes in the NBA behind his teammate, which we'll get into in a second, he was clearly the front-running guy in the assist category. He's always been a great passer, and we know this. Averaging 7 assists is no slouch, man. 20 and 7, you will take that every single night. And his three-point shooting and his gravity, that's another thing. His gravity and his pace of play really drive the Hornets offense. So props to LaMelo Ball. He was in trade rumors. He is no longer going to be in those rumors. Brandon Miller also looked every bit of like a long-term co-star, bro, putting up 20.2 points per game in 65 games, while Miles Bridges added another steady 17 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.2 assists across 77 appearances. Those two guys as well also deserve a lot of credit. I talked badly about Miles Bridges, throwing that one away as well. He had another renaissance of a season, averaging 17 a game and taking on that smaller role for Brandon Miller to average 20 points per game. Brandon Miller was also healthy too, playing above getting the 65 games limit shows a lot. I think in terms of where the Hornets are moving towards, those two dudes, LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, had missed over 100 games between the both of them over the last 2 years. This season, health was not an issue for their two most important players. So shout out to them. And Miles Bridges, of course, right? Like, got to give credit where credit is due. I didn't think he would have it in his play style to be a more efficient offensive player while taking less shots, but that's been the case. So shout out to Miles Bridges too. Knippel also made another major impact as a rookie, CJ, averaging 18.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.4 assists on 42.5 shooting from three-point land, which, again, led the league in three-pointers made. He hit 273s, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the only rookies to ever do that. I don't know if there's another person who's done that, but I would say Knippel's probably the only rookie to ever do that, smashing the three-point record for rookies as well. And his shot making and efficiency were a big part of Charlotte's rise. What made the Hornets especially interesting was that it was not just a one-man leap, because their spacing, scoring punch, and overall offensive confidence clearly rose across the roster this year. Moussa Diabate included, the offensive rebound, the offensive rebounding, the scoring inside the interior, and being a lob threat alongside Ryan Kalkbrenner, who both of those dudes held down the front court. Kalkbrenner was a top rebounder, obviously out in the league for rookies, but also in the league in general, just being another glue guy for them. So shout out to those two big men. Just their entire roster took a leap forward this year. In my opinion, to take a step in the right direction next season, Charlotte needs to sharpen the defense and clean up the mistakes a little bit on the offensive end. The turnovers was something that bit them in their butt. And they'll become a top 6 team instead of just a dangerous playing group. They obviously didn't make the playoffs this season, but given where Charlotte was at to where they are now, I'd have to say it's an 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10 would be making the playoffs. They weren't able to do that this year. But the offensive rating, shooting 37.8% from three, posting a 118.4 offensive rating. Again, top 4 in win-loss, post-All-Star break, top 10 in net rating this season. Unbelievable. The Charlotte Hornets were the real deal this season. And out of all 30, because we're going through all 30 right now, but out of all 30 teams, the Hornets had a top 5 year out of any team in the NBA. So I want to give credit where credit is due. We spoke highly of Brandon Miller. I just got done talking about Diabate and Kalkbrenner. Knippel leading the league in three-pointers made as a rookie. LaMelo Ball hitting 267 threes, averaging 20 and 7, getting his name out of trade rumors. I would have to say it's a successful season Coach Charles Lee, he looks like he's going to be around for a long time, man. So shout out to the Hornets and their front office and what they're doing outside of the Kobe White trade, which is a blemish, in my opinion. Or sorry, they got Kobe White. It's not a blemish. It's a success. It is another success for them. Getting Kobe White. Sorry, I misspoke. Getting Kobe White is a W. And yeah, there's really, outside of not making the playoffs, there's really not a better way the season could have went, right?
I'm leaning 8.5. Honestly, like you said, if they were to make the playoffs, it would probably be, it would be a 10 in my opinion. So that being said, just what you said, man, seeing that LaMelo can, key into his role and be a contributor to winning basketball. I feel like that was something that was always held against him. He's an empty stats guy. He's putting up these numbers on a team that isn't winning. All those conversation this season out the window, what he was able to provide for them, like you said, the gravity, the pace that he plays at, he is the engine to their offense. And when you have him healthy with the Brandon Miller that, like you said, we have not seen, and what he was able to do this year was a showcase of his abilities and what he was expected to be, when he got drafted, second behind Wemby. So Brandon Miller, finding his role, being healthy, being the player that we expected him to be. And then Miles Bridges, you brought him up. I had the comparison. I don't know if you remember this, Miles Bridges, Julius Randle type of arc. That's kind of, what it's looking like a little bit. Obviously not averaging as much points, but more efficient. And he's great on the defense, like we saw in that playmaking, and, just a reliable scorer too in certain situations. And then, you brought him up too, Con Knipple, man. If Cooper Flag wasn't in this draft with him, he would definitely be the winner of the Rookie of the Year. Leading the league in 3-pointers made, and just added another level to their scoring that was already pretty good with Miller and the ball. So that now the fact you added someone that shot almost 43% from three his rookie season. Looking very bright for Charlotte, man. Super impressive season from them. Was especially, post All-Star break, them being one of the best teams in the league. They spanked my team. I think they ended up handing y'all a loss as well this season. Just what they were able to be, man. Defensively, in the second half of the season. So if they keep that up for this whole upcoming season, man, it'll be exciting. But I will give them a 8.5, honestly, because
it was
with
great.
the Kobe White trade as well, the pickup that they were able to get at the trade deadline added another level to their scoring coming off the bench. And even if one of these guys get injured, he could start for them. So shout out to the Hornets, man. Super impressed season, and what y'all were able to, y'all put everyone on notice. So show us what you got next year, man. I'm excited to see what this team looks like. Going to be another team in the offseason files that is going to be a good one too. But heading into our last team of this episode for the Eastern Conference season outlooks, we have the team that the Hornets beat, man, the Miami Heat. Miami's season was built around solid two-way balance, but not timely scoring, as the Heat finished 43-39, landed 10th in the East, and ranked 13th in both offense and defense rating with a plus 2.2 net rating. They still put up strong team production, finishing first in pace, like we were bringing up all season. That was an incredible thing that Coach Bo implemented to their roster.
For sure.
And averaging 120.9 points, 46.3 rebounds, and 29 assists per game, while shooting 36% from from the 3-point line, and generating 8.6 steals and 4.3 blocks a night. Balanced. You know what I mean? I think that's, we don't usually see that. It's usually top end on one side and kind of middle of the pack on the other. They are middle of the pack for both. So especially the way that they were playing this year was a new game plan for the Heat. So seeing that they were able to translate on both the offense and the defense to be above halfway point for the season was incredible on that end. So shout out to the Heat, man. Shout out to Coach Spo. Bam Adebayo, though, man, he gave them their most reliable foundation, averaging 20.1 points, 10 10 rebounds and 3.2 assists in 73 games while continuing to anchor the front court. Tyler
83
Hero,
Bam.
83 too, can't forget about that. Tyler Hero added needed perimeter scoring and creation when available, putting up 20 and a half points, 4.8 rebounds, and 4.1 assists, but only appeared in only 33 games. Jaime Jaquez Jr. helped steady the offense off the bench with 15.4 points, 5 rebounds a game, and 4 assists in 75 games, making him one of the bigger bench scoring threats in the NBA. Khalil Ware gave Miami great front court production with 11.1 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.1 block in 77 games this season. In a lot of ways, the Heat look like a competitive playoff team on paper, but injuries and lack of consistent top-end offensive punch kept them stuck around the play-in range. To take a bigger step next season, Miami needs more availability from its top scorers and a more dependable offense so its balance profile turns into a more top-heavy contender. Yeah, that's
Norman Powell and
Norman Powell. Yeah, they have
the guys.
Yeah, it's
Wiggins,
just
right?
Wiggins,
Yeah.
Mitchell. Yeah, I was like, who's the Davion Mitchell? Yeah, bro. Like they have a good roster on paper, but just injuries, people missing games this season was really hard for them to get good momentum all year. But obviously being 10th in the East was, pretty loaded this year. Honestly, there wasn't a team that made the play-in that wasn't above 500. So obviously circumstances very different, but for them, man, I would
no Pacers too.
No Pacers. It's it wasn't like a successful season, I would say, but it wasn't bad. So I'm leaning like 6.
Yeah,
like a 6 out of 10 because injuries killed him, like we just mentioned. But you got Bam, who's performing, got the 83 points. Jaime Jaquez is now, 6th man of the year contended.
For sure. I think Keldon won today.
Yeah, Keldon won. Yeah. And then obviously Khalil Ware is a good young prospect.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero, when he was healthy, was providing a spark for them, but it was the health for him this year. And then Norman Powell, he ended up being an all-star, first-time all-star this season as well. So the season wasn't a failure, I would say, but it wasn't great because y'all didn't make the playoffs. But as a whole, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Above average. If you made the playoffs, I would probably give it like a 7.5, maybe. But that being said, the game plan change that they had because the Heat were never the fastest pace in the league is a great sign. You have a good roster around you, and they're always going to find someone, an undrafted free agent or someone in the second round that they can pick up in this upcoming draft that can help them provide a spark in the aspects of the game that they're lacking in. So
yeah, you said it best. Their offense, like the offensive restructuring, is a success in itself. Bam scoring 83 is cool, and they didn't lose by 100 points for Charlotte, right? They were on the cusp of doing it. But like Bam said, he hates being in the play-in, and that's exactly where they are. So I have to agree with you. That's 6.5, 6 out of 10 range. And when is Miami going to take that next leap? They might need to trade somebody. If we're being honest, they do have a great roster on paper, and all of their guys, we just brought them up, Wiggins and Mitchell and Hero and Jaquez and Khalil Ware and Adebayo, they all average double figures. Norman Powell, they have the guys, but the injuries and the timing of the injuries, which is an important thing there. But Tyler Hero missing a ton of games. Norman Powell missed time. Even Adebayo missed time throughout the season. But the timing of those injuries impacted their ability to score. They've always been a decent defensive team. But to your point, the offensive restructuring of their entire squad, shout out to Coach Spo, figuring that out, leading the league in pace. They just need to figure out where they are, like what type of team they want to be. Because while balanced approach is good, ranking 14th, 13th in the league in both categories is not good, in my opinion. That's why their net rating is middle of the pack, and that's why they weren't able to make the playoffs. So, in my opinion, just pick a side. If you were a top 5 offense, I believe the Heat are in the playoffs today. But just since they can't balance that out, they can't figure out what type of team they really want to be and lean into. for me, it's a 6 out of 10 as well. But CJ, we got some great storylines of the week. Unfortunately, the first one is a little bit somber. I'll take it away. The Spurs show has unfortunately stopped. Victor Wembanyama in Game 2 came to a frightening halt when he drove to the basket with 8:57 left in the second quarter and landed chin first and staggered to the locker room. He was later ruled out and placed in NBA's concussion protocol. The young phenom logged just 12 minutes with 5 points and 4 rebounds before exiting, a far cry from the 35-point eruption in Game 1 that he had. And his regular season averages of 25 points, 11.5 boards, and 3 assists, and 3.1 blocks. Even without their newly crowned Defensive Player of the Year, San Antonio cobbled together a 14-point advantage behind Stephon Castle's 18 points and De'Aaron Fox's 17. But their offense stalled late, CJ. Portland capitalized by holding the Spurs without a field goal for the final 3:37 and closed on an 11-2 run. The Trailblazers shot 43% overall and 34% from the three-point line, and their 11 blocks and 15 offensive rebounds created extra second chances. I saw them go on their run at the end of the game. Denny Advia, Tumani Kamara, Drew Holiday, and Scoot Henderson, who we're about to get into. But all of those guys, including Rob Williams had the and one. Denny Advia did the Euro step, stopped on the dime, threw a lob. You saw it. Yep. And then Rob dunked it. And he was like, one more stop. I was like, man, in my opinion, that might have been the moment the series can change. I ain't gonna lie. The Blazers looked like they were pissed off. Lillard was standing up in the Satoshi Nakamoto jacket. It looked good, man. It looked good. San Antonio actually hit 44% of its shots and won the rebounding battle. But the Spurs' 17 turnovers in Game 2 and 38 points in the paint allowed Portland to hang around. Scoot Henderson's 31 points on 11 of 17 shooting and 5 triples along with Drew Holiday's 16 points and 9 assists proved really decisive. The 106-103 defeat snapped the Spurs' run of 76 straight playoff wins when leading by 14 or more going into the fourth quarter. And Wembanyama's concussion, more importantly, now cast doubt over San Antonio's momentum heading into Game 3 in Portland. CJ, does this really change the series or not? Be honest.
It does. I think it really does, bro. Especially the way. So I said it yesterday. The boys were over a PCT night. We shot. So all one was over. We finished up shooting. We ended up watching the fourth quarter or second half. Really fourth quarter though, because that's when we finished wrapping up. I noticed that Wemby was out, and I was like, "What happened?" Because, like I said, we were shooting, so I really wasn't paying attention. Saw what happened. They were obviously still ahead at this point, and I said, if the Spurs win this game without a Wemby on the court, then that says a lot about the Spurs and what they're going to be able to do in this playoffs. But Portland ends up going on this run. They go cold from offensively, aren't really able to hit their shots as easy as when Wemby's on the court. It proved that the Blazers have momentum now, bro. And I think this definitely shifted it. I mean, you mentioned it earlier with the, was it 15 offensive rebounds, creating extra possessions. That wouldn't be as easy as if Wemby was on the court. And it just looks like whenever, he isn't on the court, they're more likely to drive, attack to the rim, and that's how Denny plays. So, yeah, 100%. I think it switches up the momentum for the series, and they're going into Portland with this.
And I was not expecting this, but Scoot Henderson, if he plays like this, it does. It does. 100%. Shaedon Sharpe can score the 15 points and be inefficient and do whatever. Scoot hitting 5 threes. He's averaging over 20 points per game in this series against a great, and I hate to say this, I was going to bring it up. Scoot's hitting step back threes. He looks kind of like a mini D Lillard. Stephon Castle can't shoot, bro. Donovan Clingan is at the free throw line.
Yep.
And you are passing up open threes because you're not going to make it. And I'm kind of like, oh, goodness. Like, here we go.
Yep.
You didn't work on your jump shot, and we're in the playoffs now, and we need some threes. We need you to hit a couple outside jumpers. They're giving you the space, and he's turning down open jumpers. And so on the flip side with Scoot looks like he's confident. He is excited to be in the series alongside Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant, and Drew Holiday, who's really an underrated X factor in this one. Wemby going down is a concern. The fall was nasty. We're praying for him. I feel that the Spurs still winning 60 games. The show isn't going to stop completely. It's now Dylan Harper's time. It's time for other guys to step up and seeing what Luke Cornett is made of. In my opinion, this gives a boost to Donovan Clingan as well, who got played off the floor in the first game, but now that Wemby's not going to be roaming the paint, I'm sure he's going to make more of an impact. It does spell trouble for the San Antonio Spurs. If I'm being honest, Wemby is their entire team. In my opinion, I need to see it first, like similar to the Lakers. But if they can't figure it out without their star player, they may not win this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just.
Yeah. Enough said. Honestly, I feel
concussion 7 to 10 days to.
Yep.
Probably puts them back at game 6 or game 7 if the Spurs can make it there. It's 1-1 though. It's not 0-2.
Yep.
So the Blazers are going home. They're getting 2 home games. You could go back to San Antonio down 3-1 and you're like, oh goodness, this is a failure of the season if that's the case.
Yeah, and it's you mentioned it, Stephon Castle, a lot of young guards, Dylan Harper,
as well.
It's gonna be, they're put in a spot where they relied so heavily on Wemby all season on both sides of the ball. Kind of gives you a back end force that, if we get blown by, we know Wemby's back there. He got us. He's not there anymore. And obviously what he was able to do game 1, knocking down 3, stretching the floor, putting Donovan Clingan out of the game. So now that, they went smaller, they have Rob Will on him. They're able to crash the glass. It's not going to be as easy for them, especially like you said, if Scoot can, replicate not the same exact game, but just the efficiency and, get into the rim easier. It's gonna be a tough look for the Spurs, bro.
I was shocked about the performance because it's on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm sure he can do it at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but in a hostile environment where like a team won 60 game, I was not expecting Scoot to give me 25. On average between 2 games. And Denny Advia, we didn't really get into it, but you were like, oh, well, he had a good play. I just think he's good. Yeah. Now I know he's going to get 27 or 25 in the game. So now it's about whoever else can do something. And Rob Will and Drew Holiday and Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe, who is going to try to go. He's not fully healthy yet even, but he's trying to go. So got to give credit to the Blazers, regardless of Wemby's injury. We're praying for him on this show. It would be way more competitive with Wemby in the game in terms of just what we want to see, way more fun. Right. But it does change the series, so we got to bring it up.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's a good, like you said. We'll just leave it at that. We'll see what happens, but not looking too great for the Spurs right now, man. But heading into our last storyline of the week. Shai stays smooth in the clutch, man. Getting the Clutch Player of the Year award. SGA earned the NBA's Clutch Player of the Year award because he consistently delivered when games were tight. He led the league with 175 clutch points and delivered 21 assists in games decided by 5 points or fewer in the last 5 minutes, helping the Thunder go 20-7 in those situations and outscoring opponents by 93 points with him on the court. Gilgeous-Alexander also generated those points efficiently. He shot 51.5% from the field, made 52 clutch field goals, and sank 35% of his threes as well, and averages that led to an NBA best 6.5 clutch points per game. He was also the league leader in go-ahead field goals in the final 5 minutes, knocking down 16 such shots, including a memorable step-back 3 against Denver. Man, I remember that, man. He did it twice, technically.
Yeah.
So, his clutch shot profile included roughly 3.7 attempts, 0.4 made threes, 2.3 made free throws, and 0.8 assists per clutch appearance, while committing just 0.3 turnovers. Noting his poise under pressure, OKC thrived in those moments too because of Shai with a 124.5 offensive rating and 23.5 net rating when he was on the floor, both second best in the NBA. And they posted a 24-10 record in all games considered clutch. Overall, Gilgeous-Alexander's ability to score efficiently in the clutch and avoid mistakes in crunch time situations enabled the Thunder to close out close games with regularity, and ultimately that is why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a Clutch Player of the Year.
I love it.
I've seen it all season. You know how it is for me, Z. Seeing those moments. We talked about it on live actually. Because we were locked into the game and how close it was. We're either blowing teams out or we're clutch moments. It felt like at certain times of this year, or the one offs of us getting blown out whenever those were.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it was never like in between like close games throughout the whole year. So seeing him in the moments shine, I think it goes to show, the type of player that he has been and what he's turned into. We've seen moments for him throughout his career where he's knocking down big shots in these moments whenever, we were not even a playoff team. So the fact that he is continuing that play and we are, the best team in the Western Conference just goes to show the work that he's put in and just everything that the team, obviously great roster, but he is the engine of it. He's the head of the snake. And, whenever he's on the court in those clutch moments, for me personally, since I am a Thunder fan, I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I like that answer.
That is the beauty of having the
Well,
type of player,
he has the answers to the test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Shai might be the first. Well, he might go back-to-back MVP, but he might be the first player ever to win that
Clutch player
clutch
of the
player of
year.
the year with the MVP. And you said it, 24 and 10 it was in
Mm-hmm.
those situations. It's difficult to compete with a team that's playing that well in a clutch scenario. I remember the first game of the season, one of the
Mm-hmm.
first ones of the season against the Pacers, giving us a double nickel in that overtime game. He had the and one on Benedict Mathurin. He was, giving Pascal a little bit of hell. He was doing it all. And that's really the game that sticks out to me because it was so like front and center, just
Mm-hmm.
finishing off being the champion and still doing it. So he's been a consistent person, not just in his play, but especially in these moments. And I think he deserves to win Clutch Player of the Year. If I had a vote, I would have given it to him or Ant, but
Mm-hmm.
giving it to Shai makes perfect sense. He led the league in clutch points. You heard all the averages from CJ. So he deserves it, man. He continues to. We'll be talking about Shai, I'm sure, a lot in the superlatives for the next few seasons. So this probably, I'll be honest, this may not be the last CPOY award he wins in his career because he's going to be put in these situations and he's been the guy for them. So CJ, let's get into the NBA games today, and then let's get on out of here, man. We
Yes, sir.
had a game at 6 p.m. the Magic versus Pistons. The Magic listed Jonathan Kuminga as a game time decision. Hopefully ended up going. And the Pistons didn't have anybody injured. Storylines, though, this is the second matchup between the Pistons and the Magic, with the Magic leading the playoff series 1-0. During the year, the Magic and the Pistons played 4 times, splitting the season series 2-2. In the first game in the playoffs, Cade Cunningham scored 39 points, but it wasn't enough to overcome Orlando's 44 of 90 shooting, good for 49%. Paolo Banchero also scored and finished with 23 points and went 2 of 4 from the three-point line. The Magic and the Pistons both shot less than 31% from three. The Magic shot 10 of 34, and Detroit shot 10 of 32. In my opinion, this game will be decided. Whoever hits the most threes is going to win. The Magic and the Pistons are both sub 30% from three-point line. It doesn't add up to an interesting game. These games have been slow. They've been ugly. And that favors the Magic. The Magic have shot better overall from the field. They cut Jalen Duren's water off. Wendell Carter Jr. has outperformed Jalen Duren in the first game so far. It's been a short series, and we'll see the result tonight. But if that continues, I'm going to take the Magic again. I know it could be controversial, but I'm going with the Magic. I believe the Pistons are going to be down 0-2 because I know they're going to underestimate them again. And I think Bickerstaff is having some issues with Dennis Jenkins. There's not a ton of secondary creation. And the Magic have secondary creation from Desmond Bane and Suggs and Anthony Black and Wagner and Banchero. And that's why this is not a good matchup for the Pistons, in my opinion. We'll see whenever Detroit goes back to Orlando, and I'm sure Orlando will lose one at home. So this series is most likely going 6 or 7, and we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
the Magic can do.
Yeah, like you said, betting high on the Magic. It's just kind of what Magic team are we getting? So that's kind of swaying me to the Pistons. I feel like that loss, what happened? Obviously, Cade got to it, just wasn't enough. like you said, 3-point shooting for the Pistons and the Magic aren't the greatest. So it's an interesting matchup because, like you said, they kind of play into each other's play style. But I think coming off that game one loss, being in it was Little Caesars Arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna be jumping, bro. I think they're gonna not be a blowout, but I think it's gonna be a good win for them. And I mean, any win in the playoffs is a good win, to be honest. So
of course.
that being said, off of the first game, their adjustments, Bickerstaff, like we said, one of the best coaches in this league right now. I think he's gonna make the adjustments, like you said though. Dennis Jenkins, what is he gonna look like? Who's gonna be that other player to come off the bench and provide a little bit of spark for them? It's a little questionable, but just off of that game one loss, the success of the season that they had, I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll end up getting this dub tonight. So it'll be 1-1 heading into.
They are going to win. They're up 77-94 right now.
Oh, should they? Oh yeah. Well, with the 3 minutes left. Yeah, but heading into our last game of the night and the game that we'll be live for on right after we shoot this, we have the Suns versus Thunder, man. Tip-off's at 8:30. The Suns have listed Grayson Allen and Jordan Goodwin as a game-time decision. Mark Williams is listed as out, and the Thunder have listed Thomas Sorber as out, who's been out all season, so healthy roster for the boys. Storylines. This is the second playoff game between the Suns and the Thunder. OKC leads the series after taking game one, winning by 25, 119-84, behind 25 points from SGA. The Thunder shot 45% from the floor and held the Suns to only 35% shooting themselves. During the season, OKC lost twice to Phoenix, once on January 1st, 108-105. Loss, and once on April 12th, 135-103. So one of those games that I was talking about where they got blown out.
Yeah.
The Suns also committed 19 turnovers though to the Thunder's 8, and OKC scored 34 points off of those turnovers, like we mentioned earlier in the podcast. Rocking with the Thunder, man. Like we just mentioned, I mentioned it even earlier. I still think they can win one. I don't think they're going to win this one per se. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Devin Booker. We've seen what they are able to do in these type of scenarios. I just don't think this game they'll be able to get the dub. Going into Phoenix, though, I feel like they could get one of those games there. But basing off of how we turned them over last game, we were able to take care of ball like we have been all season. I think it favors us, and we're not even going deep into our bench yet. Jared McCain didn't get any run until it was kind of like garbage time minutes, quote unquote. But I got the Thunder, man. Hopefully we'll be able to get some good clips of us reacting. But that's who I'm rocking with for this one, of course.
Yeah, man, I'd have to agree, just given the landscape and how well the Thunder are playing. A 35-point win, the turnovers. We talked about the fouls the Suns were committing earlier in the pod, but don't want to take any more of you guys' time, man. You guys know the Thunder are going to get this game to win. We're going to be on live and assist for the people. CJ, you have anything else you wanted to add? This was a good and long one, man.
Yeah, nah, bro. Just appreciate y'all for, staying tuned and watching the podcast. Hopefully y'all could catch us on the live and hop in the chat. We really do appreciate it if y'all do. But besides that, man, Thunder up. And
it's on YouTube.
Ready to get this game 2 dub, man. So that's it for me. Anything else that you want to let the people know, Z?
Nah, go Lake Show. Like CJ said earlier in the podcast, the playoffs don't start until the road team wins a game. We'll see if a road team can get a W. Obviously, the Magic could not get a W in their game 2, so we'll have to see if the Suns can do it. I think not. Just watch more basketball if you can. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you if you're a returning viewer, and if you're new here, thank you for sticking to the end. CJ, I think that's going to do it for the boys over here at 3-Man Weave. Don't forget to leave that like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you up next time, man.
Peace. 3-Man.